we're sort of in the middle of a sugya, but the Gemara had wanted to use a gzeira shava of zehadavar to tell you that we learned this. It says zehadavar by shrutei chutz, and it says zehadavar by nedarim, and it says a lashon of lamatais avoisam. So I'm not sure. And it says zehadavar malalon aron ubana v'chol Yisrael. It says a lashon of aron ubana v'chol Yisrael legabi. I think that was legabi the Shchutei Chutz. So we learn from that everyone is that we also have Zeh HaDavar in addition legabi what was the third thing? Well, we were talking about the door of the midbar, that the din of Hasava, the din that you can't marry out of your shevet. Also says Zeh HaDavar. But in any case, we learned out that we learn a gzeira shava that hafaras nadarim could be b'shloish hadiyaitis, since it says by shrutei chutz aron ubana v'chol Yisrael, which is a mashmoyis of anyone. So that tells you that also by nadarim you could be, even though we use the lashon hafar, we're really talking being mater and neder. You could be mater and neder with 3 hadiyaitis. That's where we're up to. Now we're 4 lines from the bottom. I'm kuf chaf amid base. Well, Beis Shammai the less look gzeira shava. Beis Shammai had disagreed, and he didn't hold of this gzeira shava of zeh hadavar. Hafaras and dam b'shleish hadiyaitis minalu. Where does he learn out this thing? So the Gemara nafkel hu meditanya. Vayidaber Moshe esmei Hashem el bnei Yisrael. There's the pasuk that I believe we read it over Yom Tov when we say the Mayadim, and we learn from there. Rabbi Yosef Glili Omer, Mayadei Hashem nemru. Shabbos Bereshis Loinemu. It's telling Vidaber Hashem es Mayadei Hashem al Bnei Yisrael, saying only Mayadei Hashem and not Shabbos Bereshis, meaning a regular Shabbos, a Shabbos of the day after Friday is Shabbos, which doesn't mean anything. The Gemara is going to say in a minute what exactly that means. Mayadei Hashem Nemru and Shabbos Bereshis Loinemu. The Nazir, Mayadei Hashem Nemru Hafaras Nadarim Loinemu. He says a different drasha from Mayadei Hashem. It's Mayadei Hashem and not Hafaras Nadarim. What does all this mean? He learned this Mishnah that we said, again, it's going to take us a while to get back to how we're answering where does Beis Shammai see that you could even do B'shalish Hadiyaitis Hafaras Nadarim. So B'yesi ben Nasan, Gamela, we're on Chuf Chaf Aleph Amid Aleph. Gamela Lahamas Nisa. He learned this Mishnah that says Shabbos Bereshis Nemru, Mayadei Hashem Nemru, Shabbos Bereshis Nemru, Mayadei Hashem Nemru, Hafaras Nadarim Nemru. He didn't know how to read it, just like us. He's in the same boat as we. Also, Basra Rav Sheshes L'Hardoi followed Rav Sheshes L'Hardoi to find out pshat in this Mishnah. He couldn't find Rav Sheshes. Also, Basra L'Mechuza, he followed him to Mechuza. Ashkeche, he found him in Mechuza. Just telling you a side lesson of the dedication of Rabbi Yossi Bar Nasan, that he followed his Rebbe to do different towns to find out pshat in the Mishkan. Amalei. My Mayadei Hashem Nemru Shabbos Bereshis Lo Nemru. What is this first thing that we said? It says Mayadei Hashem, but not Shabbos. Amalei Mayadei Hashem Tzrichen Kiddush Bezdin. Shabbos Bereshis ain't a Tzricha Kiddush Bezdin. It's coming to tell you, as we all know, we have this actually in the Rashi, right? It says Vayul Yamim Mayadim, and we say Mayadim, meaning that the Bezdin is the one who is Kaiveya, the months, and thereby he tells us when the Yom Tovim are going to be. So he said that's only Legabi Yom Tovim. But Shabbos, there's no such thing that you need a Bezdin, you need a Kiddush Bezdin to be Mekadosh Shabbos. Why would you think otherwise? Since the pasuk says there's a pasuk of Shabbos in the middle of the Mayadim. I think it says, I don't know, what's the pasuk? V'daber Hashem es Moshe es Mayadei bnei Yisrael. Parashat Sharei Kesef, which we read. So it's, and it also mentions Shabbos. Sheish Yom Tasam Lachtecha B'Yom Hashvi Shabbos L'Shem Elikecha, and then it continues with the Mayadim. So I might think Tiboy Kiddush Bezdin Kamayadis. Maybe a regular Shabbos needs to be Mekudesh. Bezdin has to sanctify it, just like a Yom Tov. Kamash Malon. So that's what we're telling. That's what we're saying. Mayad Hashem Nemru b'Shabbos Bereshis Loinem. What about the second part of that brayso? Ma Mayad Hashem Nemru Hafaras Nedarim Loy Nemra. Mayad Hashem Tzricha Mumchin Hafaras Nedarim Eina Tzricha Mumchin. This is the din. This is finally getting back to our original question. According to Beis Shammai, where do we see that Hafaras Nedarim really can be done with 3 hedyotis? Because we learn that Mayad Hashem, the Torah says only Mayadim needs mumchen, but Hafaras Nedarim doesn't need mumchen. It can even be done with hedyotis. So 3 hedyotis. It says Lagabi Nedarim. It says Roshei Hamatis. It means the heads of the mata, the heads of the shvatim, which means mumchen. It says specifically in the pasuk. Vaydaber Moshe el Roshei Hamatis l'nei Yisrael lemer zeh hadavar shetziva Hashem, and that's talking about Nedarim. So how could you say it means even mumchen? It says Roshei Hamatis or Chizdam Rav Yochanan b'Yachid Mumcha. That is referring to a Yachid. If you just get one Yachid, then it has to be a Roshei Hamatis of a mumcha. But otherwise, you say Mayad Hashem, only Mayadim needs mumchen, a bezdin of mumchen. But legabi hataras nedarim, you can have a bezdin of hedyotis. Tanan Hasan, Maruv Shem Gamliel, lehoy yom tovim liYisrael kechamisha asa ba'av. There were no yom tovim for the Yidden like 2 ba'av. Ukiyom HaKippurim, and on Yom Kippur, shehem b'nei Yishlayim yotzes kleilav and shayalim. On those days, the daughters of Yerushalayim would go out to dance in the fields. They would borrow clothing. Everyone would wear, even people who had enough money to buy from the fanciest boutiques, would go and borrow from someone else so that everyone was equal. No one would feel that they're embarrassed that they have to wear a lower class of clothing. So, I can understand why Yom Kippurim is a big Yom Tov, because it's a day when there's Slicha Mechila, and it's a day that the Luchos are given. Al Chamisha Asa B'Av Mahi. What is Chamisha B'Asa B'Av? 2 B'Av. So I'm going to say a number of pshatim, many pshatim. Yom Shahutzu Shvatim Lovei Zeh B'Zeh. So this is how we're getting, this is why we brought this up. We had said that there's a din of Hasava, that the Dar Baya Aretz were enjoined from marrying. A woman was not allowed to marry from another shevet, so it caused the shidduch crisis. Obviously, a much lower, smaller 1/12. There's many possibilities, and you saw the Bnei Slafbat had to wait till they were 40 years old to get married. It couldn't have been pleasant. So at the day that the conquest of Eretz Yisrael was complete, and there was the heter was given that Shvatim could marry when that dar was over, and the Shvatim were allowed to marry into each other, marry women from a different shevet, they made it into a simcha. My drush, where do you see this? We learn from the pasuk that says this rule, right? This is what Hashem commands to Bnei Yisrael. So this, we said this din that the Bnei Slavchad were happened to be excused from, but it was only davazeh, was only for this dar, but it didn't continue for other dars. That's one pshat in 2 B'Av, what the celebration was. Rabbi Babachana Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Yom Shehut Shevet Ben Yom and Lavei Bekal. You remember we had mentioned earlier the Maisa of the Pilegish Begiva, where there was an incident in Binyamin, and they cut up a Pilegish and into 12 pieces and sent it. Started a whole Malchama, Keneged Binyamin, and many of them were killed. And there was also a rule that no one could marry into. No one could marry from Shevet Binyamin. So that day that this Gzera was ended, they were misaken that Ishmi men, no one from you should give his daughter to marry to Binyamin. My drush. So where do we see that it ended? Mimenu v'loy mi banenu. That it was only for them, for the Bnei Binyamin that were alive at that time, but those who were born after that time, they married women from within Binyamin. They had children. Those children were then allowed, from that point on, were allowed to marry into other Shvat. That was the day that the Meisei Midbar ended. That there was no longer people, when people who were born, who were 20 years old at the time of the Maisa of the Egel and the Meraglim, after the Meraglim, the Gemara said that they're all going to die in the Midbar. So this is the day that they stopped dying. The Amar Mar, actually, Kalu Meisei Midbar, Lehaya Dibur and Moshe. Now, it's not the fact that they died. I mean, it doesn't sound like a sad thing. It means that the whole Dar died. So, what was the celebration of it? So, the Gemara says that the reason why it was a celebration is because it was a ancillary knock-on effect from the fact that the Dar of the Meraglim was still around. During that whole time, while they were alive, the Rebbeinu Shalom did not speak together with Moshe. When that whole Dar, the Anshe Mulchama, those who fought in the Mulchama and were the Dar HaMidbar, when they died, the Rebbeinu spoke to him, Eli, to me, meaning to Moshe, to say, Allah Yadiba. That Rebbeinu spoke directly to Moshe, whereas before then, during the Dar HaMidbar, he only spoke to him indirectly, through a Chalaim or through other intermediaries. Ula says another child, Yom Shebitel by Hoshea ben Ela Hardisois Shahoshem Yeravim al Adrachim. That was the day that Hoshea ben Ela, the king Hoshea, he took away the guards that were placed, that Yeravim ben Nevat, who was an evil king, he placed on the ways, on the roads, to stop people, Shalyal Yisrael Regel, to stop people from being Oila Regel. So when the day that he took it away, that was Tu B'Av, and they made a celebration. That was the day that the people who were killed in Basra were given to be buried. The Amar of Masna, Tiknu b'Yavna ha'toiva ha'meitiv. They made in Yavna a toiva ha'meitiv. What was it? That's a toiva ha'meitiv is a double bracha. Ha'toiv shelo yisrichu. The toiv was that they were able to bury them and there was no decomposition of the mason. V'ha'meitiv, and the double blessing is shenasu l'kfura, and in general that they were able to bury them all together, that they weren't stopped by the Romans. Rabbi Rav Yosef Amichavayu. That was the day that they stopped cutting eitzim to use on the maracha, on Tu B'Av. And Tanya, and there's going to be a little bit of an explanation of this. Tanya, Eliezer Hagadol Omer, Kivan Shegia Chamisha Asa B'Av, on the 15th day of Av, Tashash Koicha Shel Chama. That was the day, I think they seem to understand that was the day that the change happened, when the days started getting shorter. They would get longer up till Tu B'Av, and then it would start getting shorter. And the sun got weaker. And they wouldn't cut wood for the maracha, because since the sun wasn't as hot, it wouldn't be as well dried out, and it could get wormy. So they tried to get all the eitzim by that time. Amar of Menashe, B'karule Yom Taver Magol. They call that the day of breaking of the axe, that they no longer had to cut wood for the maracha. And there was another effect of that day, the day that the day started getting shorter. Mikam ve'elach. I'm surprised, I don't remember seeing this Gemara. It seems like such a perfect Gemara for my Rebbeim to have told me. Mikam ve'elach, the Moisef Yosef, she'ena Moisef Yasef. Whoever is Moisef, he'll be Yosef, and whoever is not Moisef, Yasef. And the Rashbam explains, what does it mean? It's the Moisef Yosef. It means that since that's the day at which the sun starts going down earlier, so a person who has his normal sdarim, he would come home from his day's work, and he would sit down and eat supper, and then he would go and learn till it got dark. But now it's starting to get dark early, he has to pull out a candle and learn after nightfall. So he says the person who is Moisef on his learning, by adding to his learning at night, and then he's going to keep his learning going the whole year, he's Moisef on his years of life. She'ena Moisef Yasef, my Yasef, and someone who's not Moisef is Yasef. What is Yasef? Tani Rabbi Yosef, Tikvera Imeh. His mother's going to bury him. Someone who says, he lets. I think this is it's a very good lesson. Someone who lets life dictate to him. He's not thoughtful, he's not mindful, and he says, "I'm going to learn, and I'll learn every day till it gets dark, and every day it gets darker and darker, earlier and earlier, and he never makes any accommodations for it. He just lets the learning time get decreased without him doing anything about it." The Gemara says that he's going to be buried by his mother. He's not going to have arichas yamim. It's very important to have a plan of how you're going to learn. Tan Rabban. Shivat kaflu es kol olam kulai. There are 7 people who their lifespans encompass the entire history of the world. And I'm not sure. I was just looking at it this morning. The first one they say is Misushalach, Ra Adam. Misushalach saw Adam, and Shem Ra Misushalach. And Shem, the son of Noach, saw Misushalach. Now, I was doing a cheshbon, and it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong. I was thinking, yeah, no. So I was thinking maybe you could have done Noach instead of Misushalach, but I don't know if Noach saw the next one, Yaakov Rosh. That
Noach saw Adam?
No, I don't know why it has to say Misushalach. Why don't it just say Noach? Yeah, I think Noach saw Adam, because this morning, by the laning, I counted up. I saw what it said when Adam was born. He had Shais when he was 130, and Shais had his son when he was however many years old. And I counted up all those years, and it came up of how many years before each one had a son till Noach was born, and it was less than 930. 970, which is how long Adam Arishan lived. So it seems to me Adam Arishan should have seen Noach also. So I'm not sure why. I guess it doesn't make a difference. You could say Mr. Shelch, you could say Noach. They're both equally viable. But in any case, so Mr. Shelach saw Adam. He was alive when Adam was born. He was born when Adam was alive. And Shem, the son of Noach, saw Misushalach. Yaakov Ra es Shem. And Yaakov went to learn in the yeshiva of Shem ve'ever while Shem was still alive. Amram Ra es Yaakov. Amram was born in Mitzrayim before Yaakov died. Achya Hashiloini Ra es Amram. Achya Hashiloini, who was in the Navi, he was there. He was in Mitzrayim, and he was still alive at the time of Eliyahu. Eliyahu Ra es Achya Hashiloini, Vadayin Kayim, and Eliyahu is still alive. Frek the Gemara, how could this be? There's a kasha on this cheshbon. Everyone from the Dar Yotzei Mitzrayim died before they came into Eretz Yisrael, except for Kaleb ben Yefuna and Yeshua ben Nun. Even Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, they all died. So how could this Achia Hashiloni have been alive in Mitzrayim and also alive by Eliyahu? He says no, it's not a kasha. Achia Hashiloni was from Shevet Levi, and they were excluded from the Meisei Midbar. The Chsiva Midbar Hazeh Yiflu Pegreichem V'Kol Pudechem L'Chol Misparcha. So Yeshua ben Nun was from, I think, Shevet ben Yamin. Kalev ben Yefuna, I don't remember which Shevet it was, but it wasn't from Shevet Levi. So they were from other Shvatim. So they were the exceptions from the other Shvatim. But the whole Shevet Levi didn't die in the Dar Midbar. In this midbar, all of your people who are all your corpses will fall. And all your numbers, to all the countings. For whoever was 20 years old, and so we see from this, from the fact that it says everyone who is 20 years old in the midbar, Misha Pekudav mi ben Esrim. Only those who are counted from 20 years old. Levi shepakudav mi ben shloishim. When we do a count, when the Chumash does a count of how big Shevet Levi is, they first start to do the avodah as Leviim, to be Misharis in the Mishkan at 30 years old. So they're not included in the people who died when they were 20 years old, who were 20 years and older. So you're saying that the Achia Hashiloini was excused because he was from Levi. And the only ones from the other Shvatim who didn't die in the Midbar were Yeshua and Kalev, Atanya, Yor ben Menashe, Yor the son of Menashe, Machir ben Menashe, and Machir the son of Menashe, Noldu b'mei Yaakov. They were born while Yaakov was still alive. They were the sons. Remember, Yaakov saw Menashe and Ephraim in Mitzrayim, and they had children. V'loi Mesu Acha Nichlu Shol Eretz. And they didn't die before Yor ben Menashe and Machir ben Menashe survived when the Yidden came into Eretz Yisrael. Shenema v'Yaakov mehem anshe ha'ai shloishim v'shoishe v'shishes. It says where's that pasuk in Yeshua that the people of Ai killed 30 kishloishim v'shishes, like 36 men from the Bnei Yisrael.
Let's go Yankees.
Shloishim v'shisha mamash. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says it means he killed 36 men. Amalei Reb Nechemia. Reb Nechemia asked Rabbi Yeshua, "V'chinema shloishim v'shisha." Does it say 36? It says like 36. Elazeh Yor ben Menashe Shokal Karoi b'Shulchan Hedron. It's not referring to 36 people. It's referring to Yor ben Menashe. He was killed after the Yidden came into Eretz Yisrael in this battle because he was similar to a roiv of Bezin. Therefore, he was considered like 36 people. But you see, he was Yor ben Menashe, survived from being in Mitzrayim all the way till the conquest of Eretz Yisrael. He didn't die in the Midbar, and he was ben Menashe. He wasn't a Levi. So why did we say only Yeshua and Kalev? Elamar Vacha bar Yaakov le'nigzer gezerah le'al pachas ben Esav v'le'al Yasem ben Shishim. There was the gezerah of the Meisei Midbar only included the men who were between 20 and 60 years old. But someone who's already over 60 when they went into the Midbar was able to survive through even to come into Eretz Yisrael. Which means, if you think about it, it means Moshe and Aaron did not die amongst the Meisei Midbar. They were really, Moshe Rabbeinu was already 80, and Aaron was even older than him when they left Mitzrayim. So they really were not, they wouldn't have died after the Meisei Midbar. They died because there was the Rebbeinu Shalom's that was the Rebbeinu Shalom's decision for Moshe as for the Maisa of the Mei Meriva. Talking about where do we see this? Le'al pachas ben Esrim d'chsev ben Esrim shana v'mala. Only those who are over 20 years old. Le'al Yasem ben Shishim. And what do we know that even that above 60 also didn't die in the Midbar? Gama umala. We said ben Esrim shana v'mala. Umala me. We learn Gama umala me'erichin. It is also lashon ben. When we said over here legabe the Meisei Midbar, and we say legabe erichin, where there's different amounts. If someone says erchi alai, I'm dedicating, I'm being makdish my own value, my erech, my value to the Beis HaMikdash. So the Torah gives specific amounts, set amounts for people of different ages. It depends if it's a man or it's a woman. So we say in that pasuk, ben esrim shishim v'mala im zacha v'hayarch chamisha asar shekel lekeva asar shkalim. But we also have this lashon umala. Mala yasem ben shishim kapachas ben chaf. Afkan yasem ben shishim kapachas ben esrim. So just like we see legabe erichin, that the maximum limit, the limit at which everyone has the same price, is from 20 to 60. So we say the same thing legabe the Meisei Midbar, that the people who are over 60 are treated like the people who are under 20. Okay, I think we'll stop over here, and we're going to try to continue. Maybe, would you be able to learn tomorrow, maybe at 8 o'clock? Or is 8:40 better?
I could do 8 o'clock, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyone else have a preference, or?
8 o'clock works for me.
Okay.
Same here.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Shkoyach.
Shkoyach.
Have a good Tvach.
Yeah.
Good job.
Shkoyach.